Slice of Life, episode 30. We have come a very long way, and that's Billy Harner. My name is Keith Rad. Hopefully you've been enjoying it so far in quarantine. It is Friday. It is a beautiful day, but if you can't get outside today, hopefully this show will get you through whatever boredom you have in quarantine. Billy, we'll start with your favorite social slice. Take it away, because this is amazing.
Yeah, so during the quarantine, it's always good to have good neighbors you can rely on. Myself, I'm lucky enough to have Greg Conway, who's, from our Cyclones days, lives about 30 feet away from me. So when my kids need muffins and he's got a pea pot order coming, he adds them. That's the kind of neighbors I have. I want to introduce you to the king of all neighbors. We're going to go all the way across the pond, as they say. His name is Tony Skingle. He lives in the UK, and every Saturday during the pandemic, he has put on an absolutely sensational show for his neighbors. Take a look.
Boy, my boy. Good evening, viewers. That's the one.
So the second this guy emerges from his garage, accompanied by a smoke machine, lost it. That was it. I was done. His most recent show, which was May 9th, was about 35 minutes long. 35 minutes. 35 minutes. I've had relationships that haven't lasted that long, and this guy's putting on an Elvis concert, 35 minutes long. He sang all the hits, Hunka Hunka Burnin' Love, Always on My Mind, Jailhouse Rock, and Keith. I'm not kidding you. He ended with a set that was dedicated to healthcare workers around the world, and it was a show-stopping performance of The Wonder of You. By the end, there are literally hundreds of people, socially distanced, lighters out, sitting on beach blankets on this guy's lawn. He has a sprawling estate, obviously. So it was absolutely epic. Check it out on Tony Skingle's Facebook page for his full performance. He does this for a living. He's a professional Elvis impersonator, so it was clear through his dedication to his craft that was the case. But also, let this be a warning specifically to Greg Conway. He's got to step up. Muffins are no good anymore. I need a full 35-minute performance tomorrow night just to keep myself entertained. Let's go.
Yeah, at least throw a wig on. Like, put some effort in there, Greggy. This video is amazing, and the thing I saw was that his property is built like a stage. It's elevated, so it's perfect. People are just kind of drawn to these things. I'm sure when he was looking at a house, he went, "Yeah, this one will work." But I love quarantine because it's making everybody get so creative, and it's like the old days where they used to say, you didn't make your own fun, didn't have all these video games, blah blah blah. And even though we have the internet and video games, people are still finding ways to be absolutely outrageous through all of this.
The underappreciated part of this video is as he goes back inside his house, someone yells, "Elvis has left the building." So that got me again. From the beginning with the smoke machine to the end with the Elvis has left the building, I was in.
My favorite social slice is a little bit on a smaller scale, but thank you for the New York Post for catching things like this. A man from New Jersey, known only as Jumbotron Guy, turned his bathroom into a basketball court. Check this out. So, Bill, this is David DeLooper, who, according to his Instagram account, went to 30 NBA games for 30 days and got on the Jumbotron 30 times, which, by the way, that should be a reality show in its own right. Getting from city to city, finding the right seats, paying for the whole thing, and being in the right place to get on the Jumbotron. I would hands down watch that. That is hard. But after seeing this video specifically, I had a lot of questions. Does he actually shoot? Does he go number one? How good is his aim? How often does he have to replace the net? Some of these, I guess you'd say, male-dominated questions that I would have for a video like this.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see a half-court Chuck in this instance because that would be a mess. So hopefully he's not Steph Curry. He's more of a dominate the paint kind of guy.
That's brutal. Oh, God. Chicken Parm Heroes time. Billy, I got one that I guarantee will hit home with you. You know the feeling, you have young kids of walking around the house barefoot and you step on a Lego.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. So now it's going to become a charity event with a ton of people home worldwide. A UK-based charity is organizing a Lego walk to support children with disabilities. I didn't think this was a thing, but now it's a thing. Caldwell Children is partnering with UK Firewalk to show people how to safely walk across Legos for their event on June 20th. They're trying to enlist the help of companies. So, of course, everybody's home. Everyone's working from home, trying to get people to make home videos and get this going. So it's £5 to register and £25 to sponsor, a minimum of £25 to sponsor. I didn't know this was a thing, and I watched a couple of videos of people walking across Legos. It reminded me of Pam in The Office when they walk across the hot coals, and this is more of a doable thing. So I would partake, but I think you partake maybe on a daily basis in that household of yours.
Yeah, I didn't know that I've been training for this my entire life, basically. I have my oldest son is obsessed with Legos every day. We do a Lego challenge from a different Twitter site where they tell you something to build every day during the quarantine. So we build it, he drops it, I step on it, I scream. It's, wash and repeat, So for my chicken farm heroes, speaking of wash and repeat, we're going to go back to the well one more time. Earlier this week, we told you about the Nacho Average Showdown, which will be streaming tonight on Food Network's Facebook page. Competition between Bill Murray and Guy Fieri to raise money for restaurant workers who are struggling during the pandemic. Well, for my chicken farm hero, I'm going back to the well with Guy Fieri back at it again yesterday. He brought his own personal 48-foot mobile kitchen to Santa Rosa Memorial Hospital in California and distributed 1,200 meals to first responders and healthcare workers and included a handwritten note thanking them for all of their work and a signature on top of the to-go boxes. And just another reminder, he's going to be back at it tonight, 5 o'clock, Food Network, Nacho Average Showdown. I will be watching it. Keith will be eating Tostitos. Whether or not he's watching it or not, that's about Tostitos time for Keith. So just a great job by Guy and the Food Network. And I am excited to see what this 48-foot kitchen looks like, because I imagine that's where if you have a 48 kitchen, you gotta flex on it and just put it on your Nacho Average Showdown, I would think, but we'll see.
Yeah, I love this. I never wanted to slip on some scrubs and sneak in a line more than I did watching this video, but he signs every single, container, to-go container, saying thank you. And it was shot on like a YouTube video, like someone's camera phone. So he doesn't do these things just when people are watching. He's literally going out and doing these things kind of in private. But obviously tonight's show with Bill Murray will be a little bit bigger. So yeah, Guy Fieri's a pretty amazing guy.
Yeah, I've never been necessarily a Guy Fieri fan. I guess the frosted tips were kind of lost on me, I guess. But this whole thing and the way he's handled it has been absolutely impressive. And when you see a celebrity and someone that uses their status for positive and to help people, you just can't help but applaud them.
Now for sports, you saw something. We'll stick with the healthcare workers idea. What'd you find?
Yeah, so for my sports story, despite my personal opinions on whether or not NASCAR is in fact a sport, I don't want to piss off our boss, Kevin Mahoney, so I'll keep my opinions to myself, but wink, wink, you probably know what I mean. But remember back in February, Ryan Newman got into this terrible accident during the Daytona 500, and people feared the worst, and it was just a terrible scene, only to be accompanied by the fact that 2 days later he was walking out of the hospital under his own power with barely a scratch on him, which was an unbelievable sight to see. Well, Ryan Newman will be back on the track this weekend for the first time, but it's also the first race for NASCAR since March 13th, when basically the sports world stood still. So this race, which has been dubbed the Real Heroes 400, will honor dozens of frontline workers during the race. The race is in South Carolina, and each one of the drivers will have the names of a different healthcare worker or frontline hero above their door, where the driver's name usually goes. So that's something that's going to be highlighted throughout the entire broadcast, I'm sure. But one of the racers in particular, it was an interesting story to me. Denny Hamlin will have the name Michelle Vaughn on his car. Michelle created the Be There Bears program, where family members were able to record messages over the phone and get their messages inserted inside of a stuffed animal that was then delivered to their loved ones that were in isolation or in ICUs. So they weren't alone, and they were able to hear a familiar voice and hear from loved ones. So that's a just great idea that I never would have thought of. And I'm glad that they're going to be highlighting people like Michelle as this race goes on and sort of brings sports back to TV.
It certainly brings driving cars back to TV. I mean, I'm with you about NASCAR, just not my cup of tea, but it is a huge rallying cry for a lot of people in this country. So anytime you can marry something together with healthcare workers, everyone's going to be on your side. So I love when people go to lengths like this to make some changes. So good for NASCAR to celebrate those people and be their bears. I didn't even know about that until now. So cool. For my sports story, I found this video. I don't know, you find yourself 8 hours in, you're like, wow, I'm watching Ed Sullivan reruns. So let me take you back to a time when Ed Sullivan and the New York Mets were rocking out after the 1969 World Series victory over the Baltimore Orioles. Some of the guys from the Mets went on the show to sing a song called "You Gotta Have Heart," which I never heard of, but I guess if you lived in the 60s, it was a big song. But they went guy by guy, captioning all the members of the team that were there, which was pretty amazing for television, considering that if you see the beginning of the video, the backdrop is like, "Congrats Mets," like written in crayon. Like, could you imagine Jimmy Fallon's background of his Tonight Show written in crayon? Like, it's just the 60s, baby. But take a look at this video and see if you catch what I found. So as they're going down the line, Bill, you see them highlight, as I mentioned, the captions, L. Nolan Ryan and G. Thomas Seaver standing next to each other. I had to look it up. Lynn Nolan Ryan and George Thomas Seaver. You learn something new every day. I had no idea that we were, I guess, shortchanging them this whole time.
Yeah, as a lifelong Mets fan, growing up in a household where my father was also a Mets fan, we had this actual recording. We have the album of the "You Gotta Have Heart" sung by the 1969 Mets. So that's something that has been in my life for a very long time. We also have the '86 Mets record, which that's for later on. We got plenty of time during the quarantine. But the GTS Vineyards is Tom Seaver's Vineyards, and I was lucky enough when I was working for the Mets, when he was still doing appearances for the team. He came right when he had started the vineyard and brought me a giant bottle of wine that he signed on it for me. So that's one of my prized possessions and have on a display in a place of prominence in my house. So very cool videos to see. Always good to get thrown back and get some happy memories, because I remember listening to this as a kid in my house. So thanks for that one, Keith. I appreciate that.
That's W. Billy Harner. I'm K. Keith Rad. Brendan Bowling is our graphics guy. He's our creative services professional. He's whatever you want to call him, because he does everything. We say thank you to him again. Bill, have a good weekend. I hope you get some pictures of Greg Conway wearing an Elvis wig, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, I think Greg's more of a Celine Dion guy, so I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, have a good weekend, everybody.
Take care.